us two, which is lovely, a nice festive practice. We'll kind of begin in the way that we often do begin. So finding a comfortable seat for you, whatever that looks like. We'll just take a bit of a roll through shoulders. So lifting shoulders to the ears, circling the shoulders back and down, and then repeating that 2 or 3 times here. Great. These circles around. And then on the next circle, allow the shoulders to drop away from the ears. If you want to, you can close your eyes, or maybe there's just something to kind of focus on down on the ground in front of you here. And we'll give ourselves a moment to land in our practice. So this evening, gentle movement and some restorative yoga. So that means roughly we'll be moving slowly, but moving a bit more towards the beginning half of practice, and then kind of taking slower and slower pace all the way down towards the ground, and a few of those longer held restorative postures on the way. But to begin with, perhaps just bringing our attention or our focus to the breath itself. And we'll do, as we often do, take 5 deep breaths in and out here together. So when you feel ready, breathing in through the nose. And then an exhale or sigh out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. And out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. And a sigh out through the mouth. And we'll take that just twice more here. Breathing in and out. One more in this pattern. And then for a moment, allow your breath just to find its natural rhythm. And actually the invitation is to take a bit of movement here already. So wriggles of fingers and toes, not a massive movement. We are going to come back to the breath. But maybe let the head kind of tuck down here. Fingers and toes might come back to stillness. And then we're drawing the left ear down towards the left shoulder, but taking a big circle here. So the nose kind of sweeps up towards the sky. And then down on the other side. So circular movements with the head. And the idea is to take like a few in one direction and a few in the other direction. So if you were to take 2 in one direction, you might then reverse, take 2 in the opposite direction. Great. Eventually bringing the chin back down towards the center. And we'll take just 3 seated cat-cows here. So if the chin is dropped down, hands find the edges of the knees, rounding the spine a little. On an inhale, lifting the chin up towards the sky, the chest slightly lifts as well. And then exhale, dropping the chin back down. We'll do that just one more time here. So inhaling, a lean forwards, chin lifts somewhere up towards the sky. Exhaling, a drop of the chin down. And then if we come back to our seat, I'm going to take us through our kind of different pranayama or breath practice. And we have done this together before at the yurt. It's a triangle breath, so we haven't done it for a while. And I say triangle because it's like the shape of a triangle. And the idea is that we inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. Unlike box breath has a hold at the bottom, but we're just taking a hold at the top, not at the bottom. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. And I'll give us a count. Keeping it simple, we'll do 4 rounds at a count of 4. So we want to find a bit of roll of shoulders again. So the shoulders are back. Chest is nice and open. Up to you if you have your eyes open or closed. For this practice, inhaling and exhaling through the nose if that feels available. We'll begin with a simple breath in and out. So inhaling here together and exhaling. And then inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling from 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And then inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling from 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking a breath in. And when you're ready, a gentle sigh out. Allow your breath to either find its natural rhythm or a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Let's come back to a bit of a wriggle of fingers and a wriggle of the toes. We have been sat for a while, so the idea here is to uncross your legs. So the hands can go behind if that feels helpful. Take the legs out in front, just give them a bit of a wriggle. A wiggle as we would, and then recrossing your legs, but with the opposite shin in front. Back. So if we can find that lift up through the spine, this time letting the hands rise up towards the ceiling. You find that kind of sense that you're almost like reaching for the sky itself. And then when you take the hands up a few circles through the wrists, in one direction and the other direction as well. Right hand comes down towards the ground, left hand reaches up and over to the side. So we're finding a side stretch here. And then just like we did with both hands in the sky, this time just the left hand might take some circles with the wrist or the hand that's in the sky. Whichever side that is for you. Great. See if we can take that over to the other side. So cartwheel round. Exactly. Other hand takes those few circles. Wonderful. Come back to our side stretch on the first hand. But this time as you come into the side stretch, the invitation is to try and walk the hand as far away from you as you can. So that hand that's on the ground, if it's helpful, come onto the fingertips. The hand that's in the sky, see if the palm can face down. And holding here for another round of breath. So the idea is to find, if we can, a little bit more stretch with it. And then again, we'll do that to the other side. So as we bring the other hand down, again, fingertips like as far away as you can, and then the top hand reaches over, the palm faces down. You can be looking up or looking down, just wherever feels easier for your neck this evening. Great. Hands come all the way back up towards the sky, bringing the palms together and then letting the hands land down at the heart here. We did this a few weeks ago together, but a little bit of like opening of the front of the body. So to start with, the idea is to keep the elbows quite low, but the inhale, we're drawing the hands out left and right, lifting the chin and lifting the chest up a little bit. A bit of squeeze of shoulder blades together here. And then the exhale, we're bringing the palms together. Let the chin tuck as the hands come together. It's a bit like seated cat-cow. Inhaling, hands go out left and right. Chin lifts to the sky. Exhaling, palms come back towards each other. Twice more. Inhaling, open. Exhaling to close and then one more of those here. Inhaling to open. And then as we bring the palms together, see if we can fold all the way down. So hands touch and then leaning forwards. And as you lean forwards, you could let the palms or the fingertips come down to the ground. Chin tuck, taking a few breaths here. You're really welcome to sway or just find stillness. And then from here, we're going to lift the torso back up, but come over to hands and to knees. So when you're at home, if you have any like extra blankets or things to keep yourself cozy, grab those. If you want a blanket under your knees, you can in your tabletop. But either way, coming around onto hands and onto knees. But rather than going straight into movement, can we find a bit of stillness in our child's pose? So the pelvis sinks back to the heels, toes or big toes as close as they can. You can either drop down to forearms or you can drop the chest down towards the ground. I'm just going to stay slightly more lifted so that my voice doesn't get really caught kind of into the ground rather than the microphone. Just noticing how it feels to come to stillness here. And if you need to keep moving, that might be a bit of a sway side to side. See if you can notice any of the feeling of your breath around the back of your body, like around the shoulder blades particularly. And then just knowing that at any point here, you are really welcome to pause your practice. You can adapt the practice or take a slightly different movement. You don't have to do everything. If you feel ready to come back to movement, we're going to meet in our tabletop again. So the torso lifts back up. We want the knees roughly under the pelvis and the hands roughly under the shoulders. And then a simple cat-cow. So we familiar movement. Belly drops down as we look forward here, cow pose. And then on the exhale, rounding through the back of the body, chin and tailbone tuck. And then simply repeating that movement with your breath. So the inhale, finding your cow pose as you look forwards. The exhale, rounding through the back body to your cat. And then can we take 5 more of those together? Each inhale, finding cow pose. Each exhale, rounding through the back body to your cat. Inhaling cow pose to look forwards. Exhale, rounding through the back body to your cat. Twice more. So if you can flow through the movement at your own pace. One more time. And then meeting back in our tabletop. So not cat, not cow. Taking the left hand up towards the sky here. So if you can look towards your left fingers, and we're coming into our thread the needle. So the left arm is then coming all the way underneath the right armpit, coming down onto your left shoulder. And you can be just on the left shoulder itself. If you want to take your right hand forwards, you can, or you can take the bind where your right hand goes behind your lower back. So whichever of those you're taking, 2 rounds of breath in it. And then bringing the right hand back near to your face, pushing into the right hand to unravel the left hand to the sky. And then bringing the left hand down. Same thing to the other side. So the right hand rises up to the sky. And then we're threading the right hand underneath the left armpit, coming down to your thread the needle on the other side. And exactly the same, you could take the left hand forwards, or you could take it behind you, wrapping it behind your lower back. 2 rounds of breath here. Bringing your left hand back near to the face, pushing into that left hand, right hand unravels back to the sky. Great. And then as you bring the right hand, sorry, back down, let's repeat just two this time, cat cow. So inhaling to find cow pose, exhaling to round through your back body to find cat. One more time, inhaling cow pose, exhaling to your cat. This time, toes tuck. We might lift the pelvis up to find a downward facing dog. Allow yourself to pedal out for your feet here. So a bend of one knee and then of the opposite knee. Gentle shake or nod of the head is really welcome. Fab. And then we're stepping just the left foot forwards here. So the left foot goes to left thumb. The right knee drops down. And then if you have blocks, you can use them. If you don't have them, I'm going to demo without them today, just to kind of show you don't have to have them. If you do have them, you might want your blocks underneath your hands at the front of your mat. I don't have them, well, I do, but I'm not going to demo with them today. So I'm going to have just my fingertips down here. And that means for me that my knee is a little bit off to the side. So it's underneath my armpit, really. And then that simple rock forwards with the pelvis and backwards. What we're not doing here is lengthening through the left leg fully. It's a smaller rock, so we're rocking forwards and backwards. The left knee stays bent the whole time, but it's more bent when you move forwards and less bent when you move back. Just taking a couple more of those here, and then we will kind of move a little differently as well. So one more, and then as you come forward, we're going to lift the torso up this time. And we're going to kind of take that movement in stages. So this time the hands might come onto the left thigh or the left top of the knee, and then rocking the pelvis forwards. The front knee bends more, and then back. And this time you might play with lengthening through your left leg a little bit more. So as you rock forwards, and then when you rock back, maybe you lift the toes, maybe you don't. Couple more. So we're just slowly graduating into a bit more of a hamstring stretch. Rock forwards and backwards. And then next time you rock forwards, again, can we pause here? See if you can shuffle that front foot about 2 centimeters forwards. And then can we take the hands up towards the sky? And this is maybe like the next stage that we might do here is to then sweep the hands behind at the same time as lengthening through the front leg. Toes pull back towards you and the chest reaches slightly forwards. And then inhaling, bending the knee, hands sweep towards the sky. Exhaling, hands sweep behind, lengthening out through the front leg. And then 3 more like this. So inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, reaching behind. Twice more. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, behind. One more time, reaching up. And then as you reach behind, the idea is we're pausing in that half split. So you can keep your hands reaching. I'm going to take my hands onto the edges of the pelvis. You can do that too, or you can take your hands top of your thigh or to the ground. If you do have blocks, awesome. Take your hands on blocks, also great. Might be a little wobbly here. One more round of breath here. And then rather than bending through that front knee, lifting the torso, and then stepping your left knee back, sitting to a kneeling position. So the idea is to sit on the tops of your feet, trying to stretch out that like top edge. Hands might land on the thighs for a moment. You can let your eyes close if you like, or again, just to focus down to the ground in front of you. A moment to breathe there. Taking 2 more rounds of breath here. So if we can slow the breath down. And the idea is just simply repeat that kind of movement through the hips and the hamstrings on the other side. So we're going to start in down dog again. Hands come forwards and down, toes tuck, and the pelvis lifts up. I'm just noticing how the left feels compared to the right. And they might feel totally the same. Often when I do just one leg here, it feels like my left leg, the heel goes down a little lower. And then the idea is to step the right foot forwards this time. So right foot to right thumb. So begin with hands down either on 2 blocks, either side of your mat, or like I'm doing, just on your fingertips. So the palms are slightly raised. And then we're rocking forwards and backwards. And it's, again, it doesn't have to be a big rock. The knee bends, the knee stays bent to rock back. So smaller movements, forwards and backwards. Great, and then we're gonna kind of start to move a little bit deeper. So if we come up with the torso, hands onto the right thigh or the right knee, and then we're again rocking forwards and backwards. And this is where you can start to play more with lengthening through your front leg. If at any point it feels like you just don't have enough space to straighten it, just let the front foot shuffle a bit further forwards, and then that kind of lengthen and bend. And even though this is like, or at least to me, it feels like such a simple movement, but such an important movement in practice, something I do literally every day. Great. And then as we go forwards, hands again are welcome to lift to the sky. We're going to start to add that kind of swinging movement in. So the sweeping of the hands behind as we lengthen through the front leg, chest goes slightly forwards. Inhaling, hands rise up towards the sky as we bend the front knee. And then exhaling, hands reaching behind. Taking that 3 more times. So inhale forwards and lift. Exhaling back. Twice more. Inhaling forwards and lift. Exhaling back. 1 more time. Forwards and lift. And then as we reach the hands behind, we're pausing in that half split. So either hands can stay reaching. You can land your hands on the edge of the pelvis or find somewhere for the hands to land on the ground. 2 rounds of breath here. Right toes pulling back towards you. And then slowly lifting the torso. You can let the front knee bend a little. Front knee comes back. And again, sitting on the tops of the feet. So the toes are untucked. I'm going to add an option for a bit of a lean back. So option 1, we can do exactly the same as before. Hands are down and we're just pausing here and we are breathing. Option 2, depending how your knees feel, you could walk your hands behind you. And again, I'm going to be on my fingertips. It might be that you want to be on your palms. We're lifting the chest up a bit. Chin can either stay tucked or you can lift the chin up to the sky. Think like a stretch for the front of the thighs and maybe a bit around like the hip flexors. Taking 2 breaths here. Great. And then if your chin is lifted like mine, let it chuck, and then dropping the chest to slide the hands back. We're going to almost go straight into a counter pose, which feels opposite, a forward fold at the back of the mat. So we take the hands to the ground here, lean forwards enough that you can tuck your toes. You can take them wide or together, and then sending the pelvis up, walking your hands to the very back of your mat. And in this practice today, actually the invitation is that we're not actually standing up at all. Maybe this is like the closest to standing up we get today, a forward fold. If you do want to take a roll up to standing, of course, take that. Otherwise, staying here in your fold, you might take hold of opposite elbow here and a gentle sway left and a gentle sway right. Maybe a shake of the head. 2 more rounds of breath here. Letting the back of the hamstrings find a bit more openness. And then if you are holding on to opposite elbow, let your hands land again. So bend your knees. We're going to sort of walk the hands out to our downward facing dog. So the hands tiptoe forwards. And when you find your downward facing dog here, taking 3 rounds of breath. Pedaling out for your feet. Bending one knee and then the other. And then from downward facing dog, rolling forward to your plank pose. And you can be on plank pose on your toes or on your knees, lowering all the way down to the front of the body. Hands go left and right of your mat. So left and right of the shoulders. Elbows point to the sky. 5 wide cobras. So inhale, we're pushing into the palms, lifting the chest up. Exhale, lowering down. 3 more like that. Inhale, lifting the chest up. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. One more with flow. And then on the 5th one, so coming down, but on the 5th one, can we hold at the top for like an extra breath? So the inhale still lifts us, but when you come up, see if you can hold it there for a moment, drawing the chin either forward or up a bit. And then allowing yourself to come all the way down here. And when we come down, this time, hands stack underneath the forehead. So one palm on top of the other. And I'm going to keep my head slightly lifted just so I don't speak into the ground. I try and speak into the mic, but your forehead might land on your hands here. And then bending both knees so the heels go up to the sky. Just allowing the knees to take some big sways, allowing the heels even to take some big sways, side to side. Moving into the lower back a little bit here, and the hips. Wonderful. Letting the feet land again, so the feet come down to the ground. We're going to slide the hands under the shoulders. And one more time, coming back to a kneeling position at the back of the mat. So the hips come all the way back to the heels. Hands coming onto the tops of the thighs. I'm going to take one more kind of back bendy shape, and it's a version of our camel pose. So it is on the knees. I've got a blanket under my knees. If you have a blanket, great. If you don't, please don't worry. If you have a cushion or something, you can grab that. We want to come up so that the hips are over the knees. I like to tuck toes. That's just a personal preference. So if you like to tuck your toes too, you can, or you can have the tops of the feet down. Reaching the hands up towards the sky, but rather than reaching the hand back, I'm going to take a cactus arm shape so the elbows go out left and right, squeezing the glutes a bit, and then lifting the heart up, head lifts, and the hands tilt so they palms face towards the sky. Breath in and out here. And again, we're trying to find that stretch down that like front edge of the body. Breath in and out here. See if we can take one more breath here. And then allow the hands to land down on the heart. Allow the toes to untuck, sitting into kneeling. And to counter, just letting the chin tuck down towards the chest here. Great. And we will take one more like reclined restorative posture a little bit closer towards the end of practice. But let's take a few breaths here together. So if you can find a slightly deeper breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. One more in that pattern. Awesome. And the first like restorative posture I'm going to set us up for is a child's pose. But I'd encourage you, if you have any pillows or things, to have those out in front of you. So it could be just like a regular pillow I've pulled off my sofa out in front of you. It could be a bolster or a bed pillow out in front of you. If you don't have those things, all good, great. Any kind of soft cushiony thing, something just to give you a little bit of comfort underneath. And then allow yourself to lean forwards, draping yourself over whatever kind of cushiony thing that you have beneath you. And I'm going to suggest turning the chin to one side. So if you were to bring like the right cheek down and the head turns to one side here. And maybe you've already done this, but if not, see if your knees can go a little bit wider, allowing you to sink a little bit closer to the ground. And depending how it feels, you can kind of hug in tightly to whatever cushion you're using, or you can let your palms land on the ground if that feels more supportive. And we're not going to be here too long. And on this first restorative posture, I'm actually going to give us something to focus on. So I'm going to invite us to count the breath from 10 to 1. If the inhale and the exhale together makes like a round of breath. So if we were to start at 10, we'd take a breath in and out. And then the next is 9. But then at your pace, counting the breaths down from 9 all the way down to 0. It does not matter if you get lost or mix up the counting. You can simply start again. Perhaps you're somewhere near getting to 0. When you do get to 0, or at some point soon, simply turning the head so the opposite cheek comes down. And then again, the invitation is to count the breaths from 10 to 0. So an inhale and an exhale is a round of breaths. So 10. And then 9. And then 8. And continuing your way, those breaths all the way down to 0. Gentle nudge to ourselves that we're coming to those more quieter restorative postures. And then at some point here again, you might come back to zero. Allow the hands to slide underneath the shoulders, lifting the torso and sliding your wonderful prop off out to the side. We will need it again as we come down onto the back. I'm afraid there's no fancy way to get there. We're simply going to lean over to one side and swing the legs around so that the legs are out in front. Have enough space behind you so that at some point you can come down onto your back. Soles of the feet come down to the ground. Hands go behind you. Doesn't matter which way your fingers point, but allow the knees to gently sway left and right again here. As the knees go right, looking over your left shoulder, and then as the knees go left, looking over your right shoulder. One more each side. Wonderful. And then really gently, like the most gently that you ever have, bringing yourself down onto your back. See if you can have a soft thing within comfort, within distance, reaching distance. And I mentioned we would take one more kind of nod to a back bend. It's much more gentle. It's bridge pose, but with the pelvis rested on that soft cushiony thing. So I've got my kind of pillow off the sofa. You can do it with the bolster, you can do it with any soft object. We're going to push into the soles of the feet, lift the pelvis up, and then slide, whatever that is, underneath the back of the pelvis here, so that it's nice and central across the back of the pelvis. If it feels uncomfortable, of course, take it out. But somewhere that the back of the pelvis can be like steady. So if you need to wriggle, kind of nestle into it, great, you can do that. And then I'm going to give you two options with the arms. So if you're feeling a little bit more inward today, and perhaps that's where I'm going, I'm going to keep my hands rested on the torso. If it feels like you're wanting more kind of stretch and openness, you could take the arms out into a big T shape. Apologies for you one. So either hands rest on your torso or a big kind of reach out left and right with the arms. Similarly with the legs, two options. Knees stay exactly as they are, or you can walk your heels away from you, and it might be that they shuffle just a little bit away. It might be that it's okay to bring the feet out long or the legs out long. Definitely want to listen into your lower back here. If the lower back gets it's like a feeling of compression, but sometimes it can manifest as like a bit of sharp pain or just like tightness in the lower back. We're trying to relax rather than stress the body. So if it starts to feel stressful, then bring your feet back closer. And we're going to be here about 3 minutes. And just as always, if you need a bit of gentle movement, you can allow the fingers and toes to wriggle. If stillness is feeling good today, then allow yourself to just be still for a moment. And if your mind is really busy, you can come back to that watching of the breath or a counting of the breath. Then if, like me, you did have the legs out long, see if you can carefully walk your feet closer. So walking back into that kind of bridge pose shape. And then I'm going to invite us again to really listen to your lower back. So if this doesn't feel comfortable in a moment, then bring the feet down. But we're going to experiment taking the legs up whilst we have this kind of soft cushiony thing underneath the back of the pelvis. So you can start just with one foot, lifting one foot up and taking it up to the sky. And if you're like, this feels steady enough, then you can play with the other foot as well. And you might take a twizzle or a circle of the ankles around here. Fab. Exactly. Let's see if we can keep the feet up here for a bit of time. So about a minute. And you can stay still like I am, or you could take a gentle sway around with the feet. You're really welcome just to kind of move a little bit more freely with the legs in the air. In about 5 breaths, we might land our feet down, but you want to have a bit more play around, give them a bit of movement around in any direction. And then eventually hugging the knees into the chest, give them a squeeze, and then let the feet land so that we can slide out any squishy thing under from underneath us so that the back of the pelvis is then on your yoga mat again. And before we do anything, just noticing how it feels to have the back of the pelvis down on the yoga mat. Maybe there's a few slightly deeper breaths. Before we come into Savasana today, hugging the knees back into your chest again. And you can take those familiar rocks left and right here if you like. Yeah, exactly. There's some big sways. If you are a Happy Baby fan, great, go for your Happy Baby. I'm going to stay with just the knees into the chest, but Happy Baby sometimes feels so great for the hips. If you enjoy it, take it here. And then one last posture before we come towards our Shavasana is a round of twists. So if we let the feet drop and then shuffle the pelvis over to the right edge of the mat, and then the knees come over to the left edge. And I'm going to suggest using that cushiony thing either between your knees or like underneath the lower knee so that there's a bit of support for them. You might have a preference whether it's between or under the knees. And then depending how it feels in your body today, you can have the chest then chasing or spiraling up to the sky. So the arms out in a big T shape. I don't quite have enough space, so I'm going to have mine kind of out in a cactus arm shape here. Or you could let the palms land on your body if you prefer. Taking 10 rounds of breath here. And then when you are ready, the idea is to slowly come to the center. And you might want to bring that soft thing with you as we shuffle then the pelvis over to the left edge and then the knees over to the right. And just exactly the same as the other side, you can land your knees on top of your cushiony thing, or you can put it between your knees as if you're kind of hugging it here. Finding your twist here. Taking another 8 or so rounds of breath on this side. And then again, when you feel ready, coming back through to center. And just allowing yourself to take any movements that you might like here before we find our Shavasana. And I always feel like the best thing about doing Shavasana at home is if you have extra blankets and extra cushions, you can give yourself a moment to get all of those. You might place your cushion on your back of your head. Equally, you could place them underneath the back of your knees. So any, oh, I don't know where I put my extra blanket. Any extra, there it is, cozy things. Grab those. Make yourself like the comfiest nest that you possibly can. Any extra layers. I'm just going to stay seated so I can make sure I keep an eye on the time. I'm still going to get cozy for it. Be fussy about it. It doesn't mean that you have to like stay in that position. So if you are there for like a minute and you feel like you need a better position, you can always change that position. And then as you start to kind of find a bit of stillness, you could close your eyes or you could let the eyes focus to the ceiling. Maybe there's that background kind of twinkle of lights. And see if you can notice the parts of your body that are in contact with the ground. So that might be the back of your head. Maybe the back of your shoulders. The pelvis. And then any other parts of your body that are in contact with the ground here. Giving yourself permission just to do a bit less or to invite rest. If the mind is feeling really busy and wandering, you might allow the focus to come back to your breath. There's no rush here, but when you feel ready, just finding a gentle wriggle of fingers and of toes. Sometimes on these wintry evenings, it can get a little chilly, so if they need a bit more of a kind of vigorous wriggle, you can give them a vigorous wriggle or find that like tight squeeze of a fist. You might like to take a stretch of the arms overhead or a yawn or point of toes. Oh, excuse me. And then the beauty of practicing at home, if you want to stay kind of resting for a bit longer, you're really welcome to stay just as you are. If you do want to join me seated to close, then take a bit of time to kind of roll over. You can again grab anything to sit on if you're coming up to your seat. Maybe there's a cushion or two. A roll of shoulders as you come up, blankets with us. Letting the hand land down. See if you can actually really feel like the pressure of the hands land. So maybe even kind of tapping the knees a few times. That sense of like grounded, I am here. Eyes can be open or closed. And really thanking yourself for taking time with a practice that is a bit slower, for taking time with a practice at home. Sometimes home can be challenging to find practice in. So truly sending yourself gratitude for carving this time out of your evening or your day if you're watching the recording. Sending a bit of gratitude outwards. And that might be to a particular person or the people that might practice this practice together today. And then to close the practice this evening, the familiar 3 rounds of breath. Breathing in through the nose, and an exhale or a sigh out. Breathing in through the nose, and exhaling out when you're ready. One more like that, breathing in and out. You can leave your hands as they are, or join me in bringing the palms together in Anjali Mudra. Taking just a simple nod or bow to close practice. We will leave it there for this evening.